Hi, hello, my guys. Welcome to another episode of the Microwave Kicks. There was a big story yesterday. A huge story. It came out late last night, and that was from Manchester City. Now, Manchester City has made an intent on the market. Manchester City have proven that yes, they are ready to support Maresca. And guess what? You might just be thinking that you see this Chelsea job. Thank God I left though. And this one because right now Manchester City are ready to support Maresca. And I think any player he points on the market might just be that player that might just be signed for him, at Manchester City. As we all know, other clubs are actually, intending to sign players as well. So we're going to touch what's going to happen right now at Arsenal. They are intending to sign a very massive signing right now on the market as well. But first of all, let's start with the Manchester City story. But if you're new to this channel, please, I beg you, please support me. Hit the like button. Please subscribe. Hit the notification bell. I'm waiting for your comments, in the comment section as I'm ready, to reply every comment, I get. Thank you for subscribing. Now let's get back into the main course of the day. Now, from Fabrizio. He actually started from David Oyston last night. And this is what he has to say. Manchester City have agreed a deal to sign Elliot Anderson from Nottingham Forest in a deal worth £160 million. Fee is guaranteed with no add-ons. From David Oyston. Now let's read what 433 has to say before we go back to what Fabrizio would say concerning this news. Now 433 actually picked out David Oyston news. He said Manchester City to sign Elliot Anderson in a record 151 million euros. That's 130 million pounds. It contradicts what David Oyston said, but it actually picked from David Oyston. So now this is two news in one. Now the England international needs to finalize personal terms with Manchester City. It would mean a British record transfer. Wow. Now let's move to another one that Fabrizio had to say. He said, breaking Elliot Anderson to Manchester City. Here we go. Deal in place between clubs for a fee worth 116 million pounds. Sources confirm agreement now done after talks at the final stages, as reported last week. Anderson asked Forest today to go and leave the club medical in the US. One more tweet from Fabrizio. Manchester City has booked medical in New York for Elliot Anderson. Deal to cost 116 with no add-ons. All agreed with Nottingham Forest. Wow. Wow. You see, this deal Manchester City just made with Nottingham Forest has to be top deal. But a lot of people right now and so many fans would not be talking about this deal. A lot of people are concentrating on the fee. Manchester City spending that amount of money where they have the likes of Rodri and the other midfielder they signed for Porto in that same team. This has to be a statement of intent. This has to be that statement that we are saying we would support Maresca like the way we supported Guardiola with everything. So that's why I said Maresca will not miss Chelsea for anything. Because when you have this kind of signings, at Manchester City, there's a lot of A-list players, creme de la creme, that's what I call them, of players at Manchester City who are willing to give their all for the badge and for the club. Experienced players. This is not a club that would be managing players based on injury concerns and don't play Reece James, blah, blah, blah. Or we cannot sign this player because of salary like what happened at Chelsea. Or we cannot sign this player because the amount is too much. No, he would be supported at Manchester City. And that's why Maresca has one of the best jobs with Arteta right now in the Premier League. Right? So, to me, I think this is a very good deal for them. But the price is another thing. So, Manchester City have just concluded or have just decided to inflate the transfer market right now. Because if a player like Anderson will be going for this amount of money, whether it's 130 million, whether it's 160 million, according to Fabrizio, he said 160 million with no add-ons. But according to Nottingham Forest, they said 130 including add-ons, whichever amount. But I think it is 116. How much would the likes of Erling Haaland go for? Right now, you should be thinking of 500 million. How much would the likes of Yamal and the likes of Mbappe go for? You should be thinking of 300 million, 400 million. So right now the market is really, really inflated, and this will put every club on alert. Every club on alert, based on the fact that if you must sell their own players, if they must sell their own players, they should be going for a premium. They should be going for a huge amount of money. But apart from the price now, Anderson, super talent, very, very good player. And it's physical. It's in the England national team is as a starter, right? He was one of the best players at Nottingham Forest with Gibbs White, right? Also, he was one of the players that helped Nottingham Forest qualified, for Europa League last season and also this season. So I think he has a very, very good, stable trajectory in his career in the last 2 seasons. Now, how much did Nottingham Forest sign him? Nottingham Forest signed him for 34 million from Newcastle. Newcastle was not willing to sell. Newcastle did not want to sell him. Newcastle was not willing to let go of Elliot Anderson, but they had to sell. They were forced to sell him. Now, I'll tell you why. The FFP rule is a rule that is meant for the big six, and I'll prove it to you. The FFP rule usually reduce the ability for young teams or for smaller teams to sign players. Now, have you ever wondered, despite the amount of money Newcastle has as the richest club in the world, they can't spend. They can't buy players, and they have to sell their best players because of FFP rule. They sold Isak, even if they didn't want to sell him at the time, and now they sold Elliot Anderson. Now, it's because of the fact that they have to sell to buy. They don't have worldwide acceptance, worldwide fan base, worldwide marketing, worldwide and all of that strategy and all of that to generate revenue. So the revenue mostly they get from stadium revenues and maybe sponsorship from within, but they don't have worldwide acceptance like Chelsea, Manchester United. Let me ask you this for a fact. Why did even Tottenham Hotspur that finished 15-16, why are they signing players that cost a lot? Because they still have that worldwide acceptance, they still have that worldwide global marketing and everything. But it seems like Newcastle does not have it. So that's why the big six will always be the big six. The big six will always keep spending. Why the smaller teams cannot spend like the way they want to spend, even if they have a huge amount of money. Why? Because of FFP. That FFP is actually reducing the ability for these smaller teams to sign players, right? At this point. So it's quite sad that Newcastle had to sell, and in less than 2 seasons, they are seeing that same player they sold for 34 million being sold for 116 million. It is what it is. But good deal for Manchester City, bringing in, Elliot Anderson. I think he's going to improve the team. He scored against them last season, and I'm sure they still remember that goal, that Manchester City had to went back, to get him. This is a quality signing. But for that fee, it might just be too much. But for an England international, that is a tax for that, an English tax, and also a player who is, in the mainstay of the English national team. He cost more than Declan Rice. It costs a huge amount of money. Now, for the England national team, they have 200 million playing in that midfield. But we'll get to that. But this is a very, very good deal, for Manchester City, just about the price. Do you think the price was too much, or do you think that price was worth it? Let me know what you think about that in the comment section. Much appreciated. Now, let's move to the next story quickly. And this one is a Premier League club, Arsenal. Now, it's been a while I've actually spoken about Arsenal, because Arsenal has not really been very active on the market. Now, Arsenal are now active on the market, and they are interested in signing one of the very best midfielders on the market. One of the midfielders that has been proven, or that is proven on the market already. And who am I talking about? Bruno Guimarães. Bruno Guimarães has one of the best partnership in the Premier League with Sandro Tonali. Now, 2 of those midfielders are coming to London. One with Spurs and the other one with Guimarães, if the rumors are true. Now, let's get to the very first one. Bruno Guimarães to Arsenal. Now, yes, let's see what Ben Jacobs has to say concerning this game before we check what Fabrizio has to say about this. Now, according to Ben Jacobs, Arsenal has contact with Bruno Guimarães' camp A similar explanatory approach to one Manchester United made before the window opened. No contact with Newcastle as of Thursday evening, nor Newcastle wished to sell. Arsenal also one of the clubs in considering Alex Scott among Manchester United and Spurs later could advance if they fail to land Matheus Fernandes and Sandro Tonali. Ayo Buadi also on Arsenal list as they assess several midfield options. As Newcastle has made contact with Sandro Tonali in January, Andre Bata contact to explore different options before deciding on any bids. Now let's move to another story concerning Arsenal. Now, concerning the same Bruno Guimarães. Now, according to Fabrizio, he said Arsenal's made formal approach in the last 24 hours for Bruno Guimarães. Plan to try open talks for 55 million was immediately rejected by Newcastle. Newcastle want to keep Bruno and told Arsenal they won't sell that fee for that fee. I tell you this for a fact. This will be one of those mentality monsters Arsenal needs to have in their fold. This will be one of that midfield general or that midfield maestro that would give a player like Zubimendi his run for the money. Arsenal needs to have a different approach to games. Sometimes, even if it's defensive, they need to have that mentality monster in that midfield. Even if it's attacking, they need to have that midfielder that can actually be a box-to-box midfielder. And that is what Bruno Guimarães bring to Arsenal. A player like Christian Noga did not give Zubimendi the kind of competition he should give Zubimendi last season. This is where Bruno Guimarães comes in. He is Premier League proven and tested. He understands the Premier League. He understands the physicality. He is in the Brazil national team as a starter. So this is all the experience you need for him to thrive at Arsenal. Will he match the Mikel Arteta style? Absolutely, because he's physical. He has the will and the mentality to actually play in the kind of formation that would actually suit, Mikel Arteta. I think Arsenal would actually gain a lot if this did happen. Now, for that fee, it might not be the best. It might not be the best in the sense that Newcastle, despite the fact that FFP wants them to sell, they are a team that obviously will want to sell on a premium. It's not easy to go over there and get a player on a cheap. Remember what they did with Isak. It took a while before Isak has to force his way out of Newcastle. And now they've seen how much and Anderson was sold to Manchester City. They would not want to sell Bruno Guimarães on a cheap. Now, this is a very quality player that Arsenal needs to do everything possible to sign, because having mentality monsters like Rice, like Bruno Guimarães in the team, like Gabriel in the team, it's only move your team from where they are right now to where they want to be. So I think Arsenal should do everything possible to get this deal over the line. Will Arsenal be willing to pay that fee? Absolutely. They've done that before. They've done that with Declan Rice. Right? So I think Bruno Guimarães would actually foot that bill and should foot the kind of profile Arsenal would want to get. Do you think Arsenal would be willing to pay the amount of money to raise the request of Newcastle? Do you think this is the player that will actually change the Arsenal midfield? Let me know what you think about him, and share your thoughts in the comment section. Much appreciated. I'll be waiting for your comments in the comment section. And let's move to another player on the red side of Manchester United, or on the red side of Manchester. They are about to lose one player that they've been following for a while, and that is Matheus Fernandes. Now, Matheus Fernandes was signed from Sunderland to West Ham, from Southampton rather to West Ham. Now, what's going on with Matheus Fernandes? Because this news has been on air for quite some time, but Spurs are coming in right now. But before we talk about that, Tottenham Hotspur are already in talks to sign Sandro Tonali from Newcastle, like I said earlier. Now that deal is actually advancing. But you see the likes of Tottenham Hotspur. I think this season will be a different season for them, with that kind of coach on the bench. And the players they already signing, Nmecha, Senesi, and the rest. I think, signing Robertson also from Liverpool, I think they are going to do well this season. Tottenham Hotspur, a lot of people are not taking a look at them because of the amount of players they signed last season, Xavi Simons, Kudus and the rest, and they did not really perform. But this season, with that coach they have on the bench and the mentality monsters and the experience they are signing right now, I just think Tottenham Hotspur would actually qualify for Europe this season. I think they will qualify for Europe this season. But I think Sandro Tonali to them, to Tottenham Hotspur will be a very, very good deal. And that will not come on a cheap as well. Now, let's see what Ben Jacobs has to say concerning Matheus Fernandes. He said Spurs are in advanced talks with Matheus Fernandes as they rival Manchester United for West Ham midfielder. Fernandes is one of Tottenham top targets we exclusively reviewed. West Ham seeking 80 to 85 million, around double what they paid to Southampton. An incoming 90 million shareholder cash injected is likely to leave West Ham in a negotiation position, in a stronger negotiation position. Manchester United will also in talks with both Matheus and West Ham. Spurs are rivaling Manchester City for Sandro Tonali. And Spurs, Manchester United and Arsenal all have Alex Scott in their radar. Who Bournemouth hope signs a new deal. Movement expected now and next days or week on front of the clubs in the new financial year. Before the new financial year starts in July, players will leave. Players will leave clubs. And for Manchester United, I think Matheus Fernandes will be that one player that would help their midfield. Yes, they just signed Ederson, but they need that one Premier League player that can actually help them in their midfield. I think Manchester United would need Matheus Fernandes in their fold. But it's not only Matheus Fernandes they're interested in. Because right now, Spurs are also interested in that Matheus Fernandes. Right now, the way his value blew up, in that relegation battle for West Ham is just amazing. That's to tell you that this guy is quality. He's a very good, player. So to me, I think Manchester United should do everything possible to get Matheus Fernandes, despite the fact that, Casemiro has left the club. But it is not only Matheus Fernandes Manchester United are interested in now. Who are they interested in? Another midfielder from the Bundesliga, who is a German national team player and is currently playing at the World Cup. What am I talking about? So according to Beja, Manchester United are stepping up their pursuit for Felix Nmecha. Christopher Vale, Manchester United Director of Recruitment, remains in close contact with the players' camp. This is another quality midfielder from Borussia Dortmund. If you watch the German national team play at the World Cup, then you will understand what I'm talking about. Felix Nmecha is that player that would actually control the midfield like Pogba did. He might not have the skill and the composure like Pogba, but this is one player that Manchester United, that will give Manchester United a huge presence in that midfield. In terms of physical ability, he's good. In terms of his passes, he's good. Control of the midfield, composure, passes. He has it all in midfield, for Manchester United, if they sign him. But with what he's doing at Borussia Dortmund right now, Borussia Dortmund has placed him on a value of 100 million. Now, will Manchester United be willing to reduce that amount of money? Because I think the sporting director of Manchester United has been in close contact with Borussia Dortmund and the players' camp. Now, Felix is that one player that I think would be the perfect replacement for Casemiro. Even despite Matheus Fernandes coming in, even despite Ederson coming in, I think Manchester United needs that competition in that midfield. Manchester United needs that player that will bring that standing presence in that midfield, for Manchester United. I think Felix Nmecha would actually fit that bill. Because right now, even Matheus Fernandes and Ederson are box-to-box midfielders. They are not a Casemiro type of midfielder that will actually stay put, on the box, in that midfield and give that presence and that protection to the backline at this point. But let me know what you think concerning this particular deal in Felix Nmecha with Manchester United interested in him. Share your own thoughts, in the comment section. If you're new to this channel, hit the like button. Please subscribe. Hit the notification bell so I come your way again next time. I remain your boy Mike Way. Stay cool. Cheers.